Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Talking Wolves and welcome back to the final word here. We're going to be talking about Wolves FA Cup victory against Chorley. We're also going to be looking at the signing of Willian Jose this morning as well from Real Sociedad, and just talking about obviously the upcoming fixtures and the situation of Wolves at the moment. As always, it's great to have you guys here. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Talking Wolves if you haven't already. And you may see if you're on a desktop, I'm still not sure if it shows up on mobile, it'll say a little join button. So if you want to carry on supporting Talking Wolves, we will eventually have our own emotes out as well that you can put out as well. Well, our first guest today, we're going to jump straight into it, is Mr. Tom Parker. Tom, good evening. Yes. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you? This lockdown is still going.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, a bit of a weird one. Saturday without a game. It's been 24 hours now. Everyone can chill out a little bit. But we're through to the fifth round of the FA Cup. A win against Chorley, which you'd probably expect. But what did you think of last night's performance?
Well, it wasn't the best result. Wasn't the best performance. We're back at it again straight away. Straight away. God, I'm gonna get a reputation. I'm gonna get a reputation going. To be fair, it wasn't the best performance. But I said before the game, I was like, look, as long as we win, realistically, I'm not too fussed. I think that the most important thing for me was just a clean sheet, get a win. I was actually quite happy to see 5 at the back, to be honest. I know that quite a few fans probably disagree with me because it was Chorley, but I think just going back to what we know, we definitely looked a lot better defensively. If we'd have played like that with the back 4, I think we probably would have lost, to be honest, because the amount of crosses they were getting in, and we were sort of just eating them up, really. They didn't really trouble us, to be honest. For as bad as people say we were going forward, defensively, I thought we were sound. I thought Kilman and Bolly and Cody were quite good. Bolly was really impressive, actually. Yeah. I thought he was unbeatable, so, yeah, not too bad.
I think there were 2 ways to look at it yesterday. We were very slow, but we've come out of it with a clean sheet and 0 injuries, it looks like anyway, and we're through to the next round. But I can sort of see it, we've been struggling recently. Fans are wanting results and comfortable results at that. And I think yesterday was possibly a good opportunity for us to gain a bit of confidence, get the fans back on side, score some goals, and it just wasn't the case. Do you think we just didn't attack, did we? Much. It was trying. I can't remember, other than the goal, we didn't threaten Chorley at all.
Well, I tweeted out during the game, I was like, I remember why we ditched the back 5 now. Yeah. Because there was just there's such a big disconnect between the midfield and the forward line. And I think that whilst I was excited to see Fabio Silva and Cutrone up top, I think they were just too similar as strikers. They were both running off the ball rather than having one dropping off and one playing off the ball and one getting in behind. Yeah. They were both trying to get in behind. But the problem is then when Moutinho gets the ball and turns, you've got 2 strikers trying to get in behind, and you've got about 3 or 4 Chorley players around Moutinho, and he's not really got anywhere to go. I thought the wing backs were pretty average, to be honest. Aït-Nouri was a little bit 50-50. He gave the ball away quite a few times. Keanu Hoover was sort of the same. John Ruddy, though, I have to say, really good game. This definitely is a sort of game for John Ruddy. Collected the ball every time across whenever he needed to. Superb save from the header as well, because we knew set pieces were going to be an issue. So, yeah, I think for last night, he was the perfect goalkeeper to have, really. I wouldn't have been convinced with Rui playing that game, to be honest, because he just doesn't come out. He's not commanding enough. I think John Ruddy was perfect for that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. I think Ruddy's command of area rather is good, and his distribution at times is very good. And there have been a couple of comments about Ruddy, possibly being, our Premier League goalkeeper. Do you think he's had enough to knock Rui off his perch at the moment?
I don't know. To be honest, no, I don't know. I don't think so. Rui's been pretty average this season, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a shout, to be fair. I mean, you can see why people would say it, particularly with the crosses and the aerial presence, but as a shot stopper, I don't know. I think Patricio is a far better shot stopper, but again, you do have to look at what the weaknesses are at the moment, and it's conceding goals from aerial play. So
Yeah. Before we move on, big thanks to Richard there for becoming a Talking Wolves member as well.
Hey.
We've got a obviously new signing that came in this morning as well. Tom, Willian Jose coming in on loan with an option to buy. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he could be the man to help catapult Wolves back up the league?
Well, I've had a look at him. I'd previously had a look at him because I think we were linked with him a while ago. I think it was a couple of transfer windows ago. I'm sure we've been linked with him before.
Yeah.
And I think that was for a permanent. I like the look of him. I do like the look of him. I think it's pretty obvious that he is in the Jimenez mould. But he's more of he's sort of like a crossbreed between Jimenez and Giroud. In the sense he's a lot more of a physical target man, whereas Jimenez is a lot more slight. He's more of a technically gifted centre forward. I'm looking forward to him. He looks like a good physical presence. He's definitely going to be able. The ball's definitely going to stick with him.
Yeah.
He looks good in the air. His positioning is really good. Seems to always get in between centre backs really easily. I've seen a lot of the clips. He just finds space in between centre backs or centre back and a full back if the defence is not in shape properly. So yeah, no, definitely seems good. He's got a decent goal scoring record. Was it like 62 in 170 or something?
Yeah, he's got a good record, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's got 6 this season, scored 2 in his last game, 2 good goals as well. If you look at what we're looking at, the first one, perfect, cross whipped in, peels off his man, gets it in. We've had so many
finish as well.
To slide that in with the way that he positioned his body was pretty impressive. And to be honest, the fact that we've put so many crosses in this season, I think he's going to suit us well. And the second one, I mean, it's just clinical, outside the box, straight into the bottom corner. We need that. We need someone who's going to take shots, and I don't feel like we have enough players like that at the moment. So yeah. Excited to see him. Really, really excited to see him. I think it's going to be a huge lift. It reminds me a bit of the Afobe deal when we went up, when things started to just looking like they were just petering out a bit up front, and then that one player comes in, and it's that little boost that you need.
Yeah. So, I mean, someone that has mentioned there about Patrick Cutrone, it's strange at the moment for him. Obviously, he's come back from Fiorentina. What do you think with his current situation? He's been linked with a move back to Italy, especially now we brought Willian Jose in. Do you think we should let him go, or do you think he could be a useful squad player for us for the remainder of the season?
I don't see why bringing in one player means that we have to get rid of another. I think Wolves have been very much like that the past few seasons, in the sense that we sign a player and then sell one. So that's why our squad depth has never obviously been amazing, because we'll sell our right back and then bring in another right back. So we sold Doherty and then brought in Semedo instead of keeping Doherty and signing Semedo as competition for Doherty. And I think that's that's sort of just what we've come to expect. I personally would keep him. I know everyone was slating him and Fabio Silva after the Chorley game because they were just so ineffective. But like I said, 1, they were too similar. 2, they got no service. I mean, what can you really do as a forward if your team's sat 10 men behind the ball pretty much? So I think we should keep Cutrone. Yeah, I think what's the point in getting rid of him? If Willian Jose, God forbid, gets injured, then we're stuck with Fabio Silva. Yeah. So it's what is the point in getting rid of him?
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. There's loads of comments coming in as well. Richard Park, I'd assume this is a relative of yours.
It's my dad.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, he comments on a lot of the stuff as well. When are you going to wear your Talkie Wolves t-shirt?
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Which one? The Grand Theft Auto one?
Grand Theft Auto, yeah. I was supposed to wear it for today, but I've just completely forgot. We had our fire alarm going off from 6 till 11 this morning. And I woke up from a nap at like 5. So it's been like, yeah.
A good one here, obviously the Cutrone comment again, but Moutinho, he had a weird and strange evening last night. Do you think that's it for him? Do you think his legs have sort of finally gone, or what do you think about his situation?
I specifically brought him up in my fans react about how poor he was. He's been really poor for the past few weeks. I don't know what's happened to him, but yeah, I think ironically Michael Bibb brought it up. He's lost his leg when he loses possession. He's very, very rash. His passing was awful. His set pieces, oh my god, his set pieces are atrocious.
Laughable, weren't they? Yesterday?
Absolutely atrocious. But even in the Premier League, the stupid short corner thing that we do, we barely ever beat the first man.
The thing is, though, I don't know if that's. I think it's his crossing because he did one yesterday.
Yeah,
he did like a flat cross. Did you see it? And
He's
it just went. It's going to be the first one. I didn't understand what he tried to do.
He's not like Neves in that sense. I think for me, Neves is actually a good crosser of the ball. He's putting some brilliant, for example, we talk about the Everton game when we first got promoted. That ball for Jimenez for the second goal. That's the sort of thing that you'd expect a winger to put in. Moutinho can't do that. He's very much a sort of recycling midfielder, gets the ball, wins possession back, recycles it, plays it up, dictates the tempo of the team. Whereas, on set pieces, I just don't. Why is he on set pieces? It's like when we had Saiss on set pieces. For me, it just doesn't really make it. It doesn't really make any sense.
I got that. I remember the Saiss one was because he'd scored a really good free kick in training, right? And then I think the game after it was Leicester. This was last year or possibly the season before.
Yeah.
And Schmeichel had obviously seen it because Schmeichel, I think Saiss he didn't hit it over the wall. He just hit it straight, full power. Yeah. And Schmeichel, right, moved away from his wall and just stood there because he knew what Saiss was going to do. And Saiss hit it literally straight at Schmeichel. Whereas for me, if I'm looking at that, because Neves was stood there with him, Neves should go, right, let me have this because look at his position. I'll just dink this over the wall and we score. And then he did take one recently, didn't he, Saiss? I think it went straight into the wall, the most recent one. So it's obviously the stuff that's going on in training is why, it's happening on the field. But the stuff yesterday, the Keanu Hoover, when Moutinho passed it to Keanu Hoover, it was a dreadful pass. But just some of the situations at set pieces, it just let us down, didn't it?
Yeah, we really need to make use of set pieces. I remember in the Championship, genuinely, we were so good from set pieces. And obviously that was, it was Barry Douglas, his set piece delivery was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was probably part of the reason I would have kept him. But Johnny has been has proved himself to be a pretty good replacement, although he did lose a lot going forward in terms of set pieces. But I think to be honest, I was pretty happy with the performance overall. I think things have calmed down a lot recently on Wolves' Twitter, although there were still quite a few people annoyed at the performance last night. Yeah. But I'm just happy to be through. Southampton in the next round. That is going to be a really, really tough game.
Would you prefer them or Arsenal? I mean, they're both difficult ties, aren't they?
That's a good question. I really don't know because normally I would say Arsenal because our record against them is quite decent, but they're just in really.
This is their tournament, though, isn't it, as well?
This is their sort of thing. Yeah, so I don't know. I think Southampton is doable if we nullify. If we nullify Ings and you nullify Southampton, in my opinion. Yes, they've got other good players, but he is really the main focal point. Although Gineppo is decent as well. They've got some good. They do have some very good players. Ward-Prowse, I genuinely think Ward-Prowse could be our thorn. How good he is at set pieces. It's like when with Sami Ajayi, I sort of did like an unofficial bet with my friends before the match. I said, I bet you Ajayi scores. Because I could just see it coming like a corner or a long throw or something. I could just see him beating any of our defenders. And obviously that was the case. So I think Ward-Prowse is going to be a tricky one.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got Southampton. I think it's the same week we play them in the league, actually. We play them back to back. Play them on the weekend in the league and then in the FA Cup. And looking ahead to Chelsea, Tom, are you confident ahead of that game? Do you think, like you said earlier on, is it the game Nuno will stick with 5 at the back in?
Do you know what? I think it's a really good chance to get back to winning ways. Chelsea have been really out of sorts recently. Don't look confident at all. I mean, Lampard is sort of in the same position as Nuno, really, where you've got fans that are still backing him, but you've got a lot of fans that are starting to maybe question him. It's sort of what happens at Chelsea every couple of years anyway. I'm feeling pretty confident, surprisingly. I've seen a few people comment on Twitter posts and things like that saying that the players have maybe stopped playing for Nuno. I would probably say that's not the case. I can see why people would say, but no, I genuinely think we do have a decent chance. I think we beat them last time. I think we've got a chance to beat them this time, definitely. I think we just, hopefully we can have Pedence back. I don't know how, it looks like he's back in training, so it looks like he might be back soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm feeling as though this could be one of those results that we just win because it's Wolves, and that's what we do. We beat the big boys. we beat the big teams when we're playing well, and then lose to Huddersfield.
Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah. Well, Tom, it's been great having you back on. Obviously, Tom, you can catch him often on the Fans React and on the Talking Wolves website with a written piece as well. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your weekend, mate, and I'll catch you very, very soon, mate. See you later.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Well, then, that was Tom Parker. Big thanks to him again for jumping on the final word. As always, guys, fantastic to hear your views and your questions and comments. I'll be trying my best to flag them up where relevant. And again, big thanks to Richard for joining as what I like to call us Talking Wolves season ticket holder. Next guest coming up now, we've got Tom Rouse. Tom, how you doing, mate? Good evening.
Hello, Dave. Thank you for having me on the final word.
No problem,
I would like to talk to you. I mean, if I know we have won, but it doesn't feel like a win still. But it's nice to be back on this program.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Like I said to Tom right at the start, I'm not sure if you caught it. I said there's two ways I think people can look at this. We've come out with a clean sheet of winning. It seems like no injuries, but at the same time, we're only scoring one goal and not threatening a non-league team whatsoever. What's your take on it?
I mean, that is the absolute basic minimum from a game against Chorley that you would expect. But, we were hoping for a lot more. We were hoping for, to see some attacking impetus, to see some goals, to see Fabio or Cutrone, show what they can do. Mm-hmm. But it left me feeling even worse about the plight of our club at the minute than give me any sort of positive thoughts at all. Just watching Tom then, and he, I don't want to slag him off. He seems like a really nice lad, but I don't know where he's getting his positivity from for the Chelsea game. I mean, there was nothing in that game against Chorley that I thought, do you know what? Yeah, and if we do that, just tighten up a little bit, then we'll beat Chelsea. I thought we're going to get absolutely tanked if we play anything like this in the Premier League, because even the shot that we scored from, a professional goalkeeper saves that every single day of the week, and we were outplayed and we were outperformed by plumbers, electricians, and PE teachers.
So, I mean, yeah. So obviously, what do you think went wrong though? Why weren't the attackers? Was it the fault of the attackers? Was it the fault of the midfielders? Why weren't we creating enough chances last night?
Well, all of the above, and Nuno, the way that we play when we've got five at the back. So this is I know it's a big argument. I keep saying we'll play four at the back, but then when we play four at the back, we lose and we look hopeless. Yesterday was the perfect time to play four at the back. You needed the extra man up front and get the ball through the phases and get them up into the attacking third more. Why? I can understand why you played five at the back yesterday. He was worried and didn't want to concede soft goals from big balls over the top. But we did see Bolly deal with that really well. So I can appreciate that's one very small positive. And we did look fairly secure, but we just don't create anything going forward at all. And I think Moutinho was just mentioned there. I think he's so weak at the minute in everything that he does. He just looks tired. He looks like the player that we worried we were signing 2 or 3 years ago when he first came. We were saying, he won't have the legs, and his legs have gone. His first touch is gone. There was a point where he received a throw-in, I think, from Hoover, and it just bounced off him and went out for a throw-in again. And it was sad to see such a great player, not being able to just trap the ball. It was awful. So I think that's probably the problem, just not having enough creativity in midfield. If you look at the midfielders that we started with yesterday, Dendonker's quite defensively minded. Moutinho, as I've mentioned. And Vitinha, he played okay yesterday, but I don't think he didn't quite have the influence. And he's still very young.
I thought he was quite sloppy at times as well.
Yeah, there's a few people on Twitter saying that he played really well, but I didn't see it in that same way. He didn't have enough of an impact on the game. If you think about the players that everybody's talking about, it's John Ruddy and Bully Bolly. Nobody mentioned Cutrone or Fabio Silva. The commentators never mentioned them. And, it just shows even the wing backs. Hoover, I thought, started pretty well, but then just he disappeared in the second half because he was just on the back foot all the time. Same with Aït-Nouri on the other side.
I said last night, I think I could have played up front and I would have had the same amount of impact as Cutrone or Fabio Silva, because I just can't remember. I think Cutrone had a sort of a half chance, which I think he should have done better with in the first half, when I think then Donker laid it back across to him. But yeah, it was disappointing from an attacking sense. The fact that our only goal and our only shot of note really comes from 35 yards out, which, like you said, a pro goalkeeper probably would have done better with. And there was no other chances, was there? No clear-cut chances whatsoever. And I can't remember Cutrone or Fabio Silva picking up the ball and linking up at all.
No. And it was really sad as well to see. I joked at half-time to my dad. I said, watch us now, shut up shop and just play to concede 2. And it was exactly the same as every other game, same as the Brighton game. Fortunately, we were playing against real non-league opposition, and they didn't have the quality up front to punish us. But we've just played the same against the Albion and against Brighton and invited all this pressure on. And we were very lucky, I think, to get away with a 1-0 win in the end, just because of the negative tactics.
Yeah. So do you think Willian Jose is going to help us massively now? We've needed a proper striker. We've realised, Chaotic Rages has put about Raul as well. We've realised how much of a miss Raul has been. So do you think a big physical striker could be the answer towards scoring more goals?
I hope so. I think we just need a different kind of striker. I think Cutrone, I wanted to mention Jason Guy at the beginning of the podcast because I watched your his clip yesterday. I've never seen him like that. I've listened to his podcast regularly. I've spoken.
He was joking when he sent it.
Oh my god!
But then he reacted the same way on. I think he was on Dazzling Days afterwards as well. He was the exact same as well.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make sure he's feeling okay today. But So it was just so coming back to Willian Jose, he. I don't know. We need something different up front. Fabio Silva's not enough at the minute. Cutrone's like Jason was saying. I think that's why I brought him up. That he's never really shown it. And I mean, yesterday was his chance really. If he can't score against Chorley, I think I said that the other day. If he can't score against Chorley, then we're really struggling. But on Willian Jose, I'd bought him for Wolves actually on FM 21 a few months ago. And but more as an attacking midfielder, because obviously Jimenez is not injured in the game and he's sort of tucked in behind. Yeah, not a lot of goals in him on FM for me. But I mean, his credentials line up pretty good, and you'd hope that they're the people who are doing those jobs, Dave, are pretty good at doing it, aren't they? So
I hope so. Yeah, I did a football manager thing with him, and it surprised me. Wolves paid him a lot as a number 10. Wolves did get relegated on that experiment, but we don't need to talk about that. I don't think he's going to be. I think Wolves even posted it. It's unlikely that he's going to be in the squad for Chelsea, but next weekend I think we've got is it Palace next Saturday, so you'd expect he'll probably walk straight into the starting lineup after a few days training with the squad. Let's see what people are saying. We can't rely on Willian Jose. All the lads need to start stepping up. I think that's fair enough, isn't it? But we saw yesterday against Chorley how flat the game was. And Tom, as soon as Neto and Adama came on, especially Neto, whenever he got the ball, we were driving the ball 20 yards up the pitch every time. And we missed that sort of pace and power, didn't we?
In fact, I'd forgotten about that because I'd lost interest in the game so much at that point. But I do remember now Neto picking the ball up and running 60 yards or so with it. And that's what we've missed. That's what we missed in the game yesterday. Just that, drive. That I don't think Traore played pretty well. I mean, the fact he couldn't get past the Chorley left back, he knocked him over once, and then the bench laughed at him. And I was so embarrassed by that. But I don't know how you felt, but I thought, we're a Premier League team. Here's this player who's been.
They were laughing, mate. They thought
exactly. Exactly. I thought
proper Sunday League vibes. That is,
and we were completely. I mean, he was just in that left back's pocket, I thought, and they just did the same trick. They doubled up on him, and he couldn't deal with it. He couldn't think. Right, there's 2 players on me. That must mean there's a spare player somewhere else. Let's just try and get rid of the ball quickly, because we think back to the Championship, and that's what I was thinking yesterday. Was in the Championship we were so successful because we could switch play so quickly, and teams couldn't deal with that. That's what we needed to do yesterday. Was just quick one ball out to the other wing, and then we were in. But we were so slow and passing it backwards and passing back to the keeper against blinking Chorley. Embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, the couple of times in the first half, especially when we sort of broke past them, I know it was rare, was when we did something similar to that. Cody picked out a couple of decent balls, to be fair. But that was it, just switching the play quickly, and they couldn't deal with it. And we just did not. I know we have not really spoke about the pitch there. I know the pitch wasn't fantastic.
Do you know what, the pitch was a lot better than I thought it would be. You've seen the pictures all through the week, and you thought it was going to be an absolute mud bath, but there was a bit of bobble on the ball, but it was, the ball was running pretty quickly and pretty smoothly. So our players aren't even switched on. Pretty good shift.
Yeah. But Wolves moving on to Chelsea. I know, like you said, you weren't too confident going into that game. Tom Parker said, it'd be typical Wolves, I think. Do you think Lampard's going to get the better of us during the week?
Well, Billy, my friend who I do another podcast with, he is a Chelsea fan, and he's more worried than we are about this game because they are, they're almost in disarray at Chelsea because of all the money they've spent, all these top players that they brought in, and they've just not clicked at all. I don't think Frank Lampard's a brilliant tactician, but I don't think Nuno is at the minute either. So I think it's a very interesting battle. I think it's a lot closer than some Wolves fans are pessimistically predicting that it will be. We've just got to make sure that we defend resolutely, and I think 5 at the back will be the way to go. Even if it's a 0-0 draw, if we keep a clean sheet, then brilliant. But I can't see that happening, and I can see it being another very narrow defeat, and that's all they are at the minute. We're not being battered in any games, but they're just all these narrow defeats and decisions going against us and luck not going our way. Whereas, in previous seasons, they did go our way, and fortunately, we're paying for it now.
Yeah, and do you think Nuno will go? Well, what formation would you like to see him go for?
I think it'd be naive to go 4 at the back against Chelsea because of their attacking threat. I think Cody, you could see Cody having more of an influence on the game as well, like we spoke about last week with him, being able to spray the balls out to the right-hand wing from his central position. You can't do that from that left channel. So I'd hope that Cody would have an influence. So I don't think that 2 up front worked yesterday. I think that was a ploy by Nuno to give Cutrone a good run of minutes and say, well, look, you've had your chance against Chorley. Off you go. So I don't know if Podence is going to be fit. Do we know that yet, Dave?
I don't think so. Not for not for Chelsea.
Not for Chelsea. But he's a big miss as well, because I would be tempted to, try Neto in the middle and Podence out on the right with Podence on the left and Adama on the right. Just to try something different, because Neto at the minute is our best player and the most likely to get goals. I know that he's very good at putting crosses in, but who's he putting crosses in for? He may as well just get in the middle and have a good go.
Yeah, and it's Fabio Silva or Cutrone. I think there's one answer for this. Chelsea. Yeah, it's a difficult question.
Neither of them really are showing any sort of signs of scoring. I think probably the most likely to score would be Silva at the minute. So I would just, for the next game or so until Willian is available, I'd just stick with Silva for the short term.
Yeah, and fingers crossed we can get back to winning ways. I think it's going to be a tricky game, pressure, a little bit of pressure maybe on both managers. But what's Billy saying? Is this Lampard's last chance? If he drops one,
I think it's getting there. It's getting there for Lampard. Yeah, I don't think he would get sacked. I think he's only got a contract until the end of the season anyway. So I think that they've kind of accepted that if they don't make the top 4 this season, then he'll definitely go, and they'll get some big name manager in the summer then. But he sort of had a free hit last season because of the transfer ban, and then they performed beyond their expectations last season, and then gave him all this money this season, and he's just backed it up the wall. Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed Wolves can turn up, Tom. It's been fantastic having you on again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, mate, and I'm sure I'll talk to you next time. See you later, mate. See ya. All right, guys, that was Tom Rouse. We'll move on to our next guest. Apologies there. I know Finn Games, you got timed out. That was accidental, so apologies for that. Guys, keep your questions coming in as well. Our next guest coming up, we've got Mr. Ryan Lester. Ryan, how are you keeping?
Not bad, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Thank you. Thanks for coming on as well. Obviously, after yesterday's victory over Chorley, what are your thoughts on that win? 1-0 through to the next round, clean sheet. But, I think a few fans aren't too happy with the attacking display that we showed yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite upset about the performance last night. I mean, of course, the main aim in any cup competition is just to get through regardless of what happens. But you can't ignore the fact playing a sixth-tier side, such a placid and soft performance, particularly going forwards. Wolves did defend well, but should they be defending and inviting on a sixth-tier side so much? John Ruddy played well, Willy Bolly, but they should be playing well in that game. So, of course, I'm happy. Southampton at home. Let's bring that on. But there's some big alarm bells last night for me in that performance. The two up front, I felt a little bit sorry for Fabio because, I mean, he did well against Albion the first sort of 55 minutes. He was probably Wolves' best player last weekend, but last night he was isolated against a big physical side. Cutrone was just completely anonymous.
Yeah.
Vittina's goal was fantastic, but he was picking up the ball half the time, almost like deep into his own half or on the halfway line. So I think Wolves were maybe a little bit disrespectful in terms of their team selection and underestimated them because just because they're non-league players doesn't mean they haven't got pace. And we had no. There was probably Hoover was Wolves' quickest player last night. There was like the one person that was going past people. Otherwise, Wolves were flat. And I've got to be honest, Dave, I really think Wolves got away with one last night. Don't get me wrong, I'm pleased with the result, but that's probably the only pleasing thing with the game. Okay, well, maybe John Ruddy saves, but otherwise it's really hard to draw any positives from that.
Yeah, I mean, and John Ruddy probably shouldn't be having to make those saves, like you say, against no disrespect to Chorley, but a sixth-tier side. You wouldn't be expecting really to make many of those last night. And the fact that I know a number of people I've spoken to had him as their man of the match. I mean, that speaks volumes, really. You shouldn't be relying on a defender or your goalkeeper to be man of the match in those sort of games, should you?
Absolutely not. And it's good for John Ruddy because, let's be honest, in the last few cup games he's had, his mistakes have been more regular than his good saves, to be honest. There's been a few sort of soft goals that he's conceded. So last night, Wolves can be thankful for him and the returning form of Willy Bolly. But again, they should be playing well, but should we really be inviting on a team of the sixth tier to come in? We've got a 1-0 lead. And even in the first half, before we had the goal, it wasn't that good. I think there was some more harsh lessons last night for that squad and for Nuno. Some of his reserve players maybe aren't as good as we thought they were. I mean, I don't want to take any credit away from Chorley because they were really good. In terms of statistics, chances created, balls in the box, they were probably better than Wolves. I mean, there's only one stat that counts at the end of the day, but Wolves got away one last night. One shot on target from 35 yards. I'm not going to take anything from the strike because it was a great goal, but I think I'd expect championship and above keepers to be stopping that. It was a late swerve and it was a great hit, but Wolves got away with one. I mean, very, very, very lucky last night in the end. I'm happy we got away with it, but will we learn the lesson from that? Because we cannot disrespect teams like that again. I mean, I was angry enough against Stoke, but for a club like Wolves that probably aren't in a relegation battle, I know it's close there, but cup should be the priority because. And I'm quite a bit older than you, Dave, but I mean, I've seen the Wolves in a semi-final. I think it was like 96 or 98 against Arsenal at Villa Park. Yeah. Obviously, we had the semi-final a couple of years ago back, we were really unfortunate. But that's in my 31, 32 years of going to Molineux. That's as good as he's got. So we want to take these cups seriously. I mean, I've been watching the Man City game.
Yeah.
Oh, great! If Man City go out, that's a real opportunity for us. But of course, they turned it round in the end. But last night does raise some big concerns for me. But obviously, against Southampton, I'm expecting strongest team. There's no exceptions now. I mean, got to take it very seriously.
Yeah, I think a good time. It'll be interesting. I think the Chelsea game. I think that's almost. It looks like Wolves are going to revert back to the back five. I think that is a perfect time to judge it, really. It's hard to tell after yesterday's performance. I know we don't know what Nuno has said before the game or at half-time. If he's literally said to them, look, let's get a goal and then let's just relax so, we don't get any injuries or whatever. But I think to try and get the fans back on side almost, because I mean you've seen it on social media the last couple of weeks. Fans are starting to slowly turn. I think everyone wanted to go and see games. I mean, we saw it today. West Ham against a half decent Doncaster side knocked 4 goals past them. David Moyes was bringing on kids and even subbed his goalkeeper to bring on a kid in the 70th, 80th minute. And I think that's what Wolves fans wanted. But like you said earlier on, it was a little bit flat. And I think I said it on my match reaction yesterday. We've not really got a quick striker, have we, at all? No. The last time I remember was Nuadiko, and he was, when he was fit, he was so difficult to defend against. Jimenez isn't rapid, but he's clever with what he does with the ball. Yeah. Whereas Silva and Cutrone, especially, it almost looks like Cutrone looks like a headless chicken at the moment. She doesn't know what to do when they get the ball.
I mean, Cutrone, there was a little bit of me that feels sorry for him, but I don't care what your fitness levels are. If you've not been carrying injury and you play against a 6-tier side as a £20 million striker, I'm expecting you to at least hold the ball up, bring the people into play, because he's not quick, but his impact on the game was pretty much zero. At least I know Fabio wasn't good, but he was getting in positions to win free kicks and trying to link the play. I mean,
he work rate. He makes it look like he works hard as well. Fabio, he does a lot of running. To be fair, off the ball.
He's. I like Fabio. He was really good last week in what was a terrible weekend, and then there's lots of stats going around. There's people like all the big centre forwards hadn't scored. I mean, for me, a young striker's getting the team 18, 19. A centre forward, a big guy who links and holds up the play. Look at Calvert-Lewin. What was his breakthrough season? He was 23 or 24 by the time he actually got in the side.
Taken him a few, even now he's been playing 2 or 3 years on and off for Everton. It's taken him 4 or 5 years before he started scoring often. So,
it wasn't so long ago for you, but what was you doing when you were 18 and a half? So
exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like Fabio and good things are to come, but I hope we learned some. We got away with one, and there's some big lessons to be learned from last night. Big lessons.
Yeah, and looking ahead to the game against Chelsea, do you think? I mean, we saw it yesterday. The back five. Do you think that's what Nuno's going to start with against Chelsea?
Yeah, you did mention that. I'm in the minority, and I would actually prefer Wolves to go with a 4.
Okay.
Now, if it is a 4, then that's probably going to mean dropping the captain because he can't play in a 4 now. I'm more than happy for him to, and this isn't about Conor Cody, but I think if Wolves have tried a 4 a few times, I mean, I've mentioned on a few tweets that you might have seen the Arsenal game away, 4-2-3-1, the last 20 minutes against Southampton, the Spurs game, when we played 4-2-3-1, Wolves actually looked quite good. And that was with, and no disrespect to him, Conor Cody is a centre-back who isn't the best defender. So why don't we try it with actual 2, say he's an international centre-back and now's Bolly, why not give it a go? Let's face it, we're expecting to lose at Chelsea. However, it is a good time to go and play them. Like you said, new guy's probably not going to get a chance to play, so it'll be Fabio again, and that's going to be tough for him. Big, strong centre-backs there, so it's not going to be ideal, but I'm reluctant to use the term free hit, but on Tuesday I'm expecting nothing. So I always think that attack is the best form of defence, so why not have a go with them? Why not play Vitina in the number 10, have Dendoncker and Neves holding, Bolly and Sace together and have a go. If we're expecting to lose, if we defend, I know a lot of people said we defended well last night, but we're hanging on. There was good saves and blocks against 6-tier. Chelsea will destroy us if we play like that. We can't take that chance. I'd rather go to Chelsea, lose 3-1 or 4-1 and had a go than sit in, tuck in, lose 3-0 and done nothing. Because if we tuck in like we did last night, we'll get absolutely slapped.
Yeah. Well, it's fair enough. But like you say, those games, it's very rare that we see Wolves actually go all out attack. But that game when we were chasing it against Southampton, like you say, and against Arsenal, which we had no right against Arsenal to attack like that. Brilliant. But we were unbelievable. That was, so good, especially that first half. We were so good. And even obviously after the unfortunate injury of Raul, you'd probably expect, I felt at that point, this game's a write-off because it's going to have shook the players up so much. But the confidence, especially Pudence's goal, to sort of scoop it over the defender to score that.
That scoop was that skill. We've missed him in that number 10, and he's a different kind of number 10 to probably what Vitina is. But I genuinely believe with Neto, Adama, and Pudence playing there, those can hurt most teams. So why not have a go? Yeah, Pudence won't be ready for tomorrow night, but I'd rather see Wolves be positive and have a go because I don't want Wolves to play that 5 if it's going to be like that because it needs to be positive. Yeah, we'll have more pace in the team, but it's a real concern to me now. I think Wolves have. I think the days might be done in the long term for the 5 at the back. To be honest, it just doesn't. When was the last time I played well with 5 at the back that you can remember? And we thought we were really good today.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare, isn't it? I mean, we rely a lot on counter-attacks. It's very rare we go into a game. I think that's what obviously Nuno wanted to change this year, but I think he's almost tried to do it too soon or the wrong season, because we didn't have a pre-season, did we? And he chucked the 4 at the back in sort of 5 or 6 games into the season. Obviously, unfortunately, lost Jimenez. I think we would have done so much better with that system with Jimenez, a proper striker with the likes of Podence and Neto and Adama in behind. I think, we could have been laughing in some of the games we've played. But I think as soon as 2 or 3 games went and you realise it's not working without your main striker, you probably should have gone back to the back 5. But you are right. There's not been a game where we've started a back 5 in a long while, which we've dominated and deserved 3 points. I think.
I can understand, and it's probably maybe being a little bit ambitious, but I think we've tried it for so long, but we've not actually tried it with 2 centre backs. And like I said, that's not like a pop at Cody, but he's not a centre back. So let's give it a go, because the team's progress is more important than any one single player. Obviously, if it's 5 at the back, he's the first name on the team sheet. But in a 4, he's absolutely not. And I'd like to see us give it a go. I don't really see why we wouldn't. I mean, there is some concern the last few games, but again, we've not seen it with 2 centre backs. And although I keep repeating it, that minutes against Arsenal, against Southampton chasing the game, and against Spurs when we were pushing for the winner, Wolves look good in that setup. They look good and dangerous, and they push teams back. So Wolves, for me now, the best strength, Neto, Adama. Let's unleash them. Let's be a little bit more positive. I mean, I don't want us to go gung-ho and get slapped, but we can easily play that 4-2-3-1, tuck in as a 5-4-1 when we're defending and have a go. But let's be positive and be a bit braver.
What do you think about the situation? Well, I mean, the 2 central midfielders there. What are your thoughts on Moutinho after? I mean, not just yesterday's performance, but he's sort of been up and down throughout the whole season. Really, what are your thoughts been on him recently?
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm bad mouthing my sweetheart when I talk about it. Because on his first season at Wolves and most of his second season, it was like the best player I'd probably ever seen playing for Wolves. It was just easy, and it was just. He made the simple things look beautiful. The simple pass, he was great, but he had a couple of games when I can't remember the game we played. He played in midfield with Neves and we won. It might have been Palace in the cup. I think we played quite well that night. I think we played 2 in centre midfield and he played well. So he's still got it, but I think we need to protect him a little bit. But if we want the best out of him, we can't be playing him week in, week out. And there's 2 games a week. It's almost like he's losing his quality. So maybe wrap him up a little bit more. But if we start a 2 in midfield, I think it has to be Neves and Donker for me now, because I prefer. Another reason to have Neves in the team is if Wolves have got a back 4 and he's sitting in front of the back 4, I actually think he's a bit better there when he's got more space, where it looks a bit crowded. When he's got the 3 centre backs and Cody's next to him, they both do the same thing there. So it's almost like one of them redundant, and you've got 2 people. And it felt like a bit like that last night. I know it wasn't Neves playing last night, but it was almost too many bodies with no space. And when you could be pushing your fullbacks up a little bit higher and having 2 centre backs and 1 holder. So Moutinho, I'm reluctant to badmouth him because he's been absolutely brilliant. But would I pick him to start as a holding 2 against Chelsea? I wouldn't. I think he has to play in a 3 if there's 3 in midfield. I don't think it'll be 3 in midfield if Adama, Fabio and Neto are all fit. But if it's a 3, I think he still starts in a 2. I don't think we can start him in there anymore if the full team is available.
Well, like you say, even if I know you were sort of wanting to see a lot more of the back 4. If you're playing a back 4 with Dendoncker or Neves, you could have either of those as almost like a half-back. Like you say, when you're defending, use one of those as another defender, because Neves either can sit just in front, and if Bolly says whoever you got centre-back knocks in the ball, like you say, he's in the middle of the pitch, to spray those balls out. Or even someone like Dendoncker who can play centre-back, almost slotting in there as well. So there's a lot of options there if you want to stick with the back 4.
Well, that's what it's obviously a different level, but that's what Spurs did a few years ago when they had Eric Dyer sitting in midfield. He would drop back into the middle of the centre backs. The full-backs would push up then, and it was almost like the full-backs are wing-backs, and that's why I envisage for Wolves. I mean, it's defensively, Semedo and Aït-Nouri probably don't look the best, but going forward is what they're good at. So. And I would say this about being positive as well. If we look at Aston Villa's squad and West Ham's squad, on paper, are they any better than Wolves? But they're being rewarded for their positivity. I mean, Their fullbacks get high up. They've been attacking football. Their fullbacks overlap. They get up. Why can't we do the same? The best form of defence is attack, and I'd like to see a little bit more of that from Wolves.
Yeah. And finally, new signing this morning, Ryan, Willian Jose. Happy enough with that?
Really happy. As mentioned about Jimenez, we've really missed that physical presence. He doesn't look quite as mobile as Jimenez, but he looks strong. He knows where the goal is. He's good in the air. And Neto has put a lot, and Adama, to be fair, has put a few decent balls in the box recently. We've been crossing in, and I don't think Fabio's quite the bulk to sort of bustle through and charge through and put a header in or slide it in at the far post. Whereas this guy, what's he, 6'1", 6'2"? He's a big boy. Yeah. I think consistent. I saw a tweet earlier on. I think he's one of 4 players to only can score double figures in the Spanish league the last 4 years. So he knows where the goal is. They're doing well this year. 2 great goals to sign off with, a poacher's goal and a great finish. So if we can feed him, that's going to take us up the pitch as well, because, like I said, we have been playing. We've been hitting it. It's not really been sticking, apart from against Albion a little bit when Fabio was really up for it. The balls get coming back. And if you've got someone like that up front, then you're going to get more from Neto, more Adama. You get your fullbacks up and play 4 at the back.
Yeah, there you go, Ryan. Get Nuno, if you're listening, there you go. That's the system. Ryan, it's been a pleasure, mate, having you on. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
And enjoy the rest of your weekend, mate. See you later.
Hey, pal.
Cheers. Big thanks to Ryan there for helping out here on the final word, giving his thoughts. He's a big advocate of the back 4. Guys, big thanks for the support, obviously, on today's stream so far. Like Richard said, get hitting that like button down below. Celtic Rager. Wolves are a counter-attacking team, which means defending most of our games and breaking the score. That's how we've played since day one. Yeah, but even us, we aren't defending very well. So we need to start scoring more goals and seeing how we can get on. We'll move on to our next guest now. We've got Mr. Harry Mansell. Harry, good evening. Oh, I like your T-shirt, mate. There you go. Grand Theft Porto. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah. How are you keeping?
Really good, mate. Just still a bit bored after watching last night's game.
I mean, is this the new camera that you've been teasing to me?
I'm actually on my laptop today, mate. Because the first time I saw the comment saying, look, I was in a microwave, so I thought I'd make on my laptop.
No problem, mate. Well, yeah, you said you were bored after yesterday's performance. I'd assume you're not too happy with that attacking display from Wolves, or lack of attacking.
Mate, when I saw Cutrone and Fabio Silva's up front, I was like, how many are we going to get? Like, how many is it going to be? 5, 6? I thought we were going to do what like Spurs did against Marine, but they were shocking, weren't they? Both of them. Great strike from Moutinho. Really good. But I agree. I think Ryan just said there, I agree. The keeper probably should have saved it, but still a great strike. Can't take it away from him. And just honestly, mate, boring to watch, wasn't it? And second half, we're playing a team, what are they, 6 leagues below us? And they definitely deserve to equal. And we were hanging on a bit, and I liked the fact. I know this is a bit controversial because at first I was one who wanted the 4 at the back, but because it hasn't been working, we've had the injuries, no Raul. We need to go back to what we know and be boring and go 5 at the back again. So I'm glad he did that, because we need to go back to that to stop shipping goals. But even with that formation, we've still got to be scoring like at least 3 or 4 against a team like that last night, and it's so disappointing we didn't.
Yeah, what was the reason though, Harry? Do you think Nuno just told Nuno put the handbrake on from minute 1? Because we didn't. I've said it a couple of times already today. 1 shot on goal that I know of, which was Moutinho. I think Cutrone had a half chance earlier on, but I can't remember another effort on goal. I can't remember us testing their goalkeeper whatsoever.
I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, honestly, if you was like an alien from outer space and you were watching that game, you would never know the distance between the teams, would you? You have no clue.
If you said one of it was Premier League, you probably would have said it was Chorley.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, you've got to give shout out to John Ruddy. He pulled off some good saves. I've given him so much stick over the last few seasons. Like, obviously, he was a hero in the Championship, but some of his performances in the FA Cup and the League Cup have been shocking, really. But so fair play to him. But we shouldn't be talking about him against a team like Chorley. So, and I've got no answers for why we didn't score more goals, mate. Honestly, I agree. I've heard you talking about Moutinho. It's sad to say, but like, he's one of the best players I've ever seen at Molineux. But I think his old age is slowly catching up with him now. Like, it's something ain't right there at all. He's been really poor this season, in my opinion.
So you're talking about the back 5. Is that the formation you go back with Chelsea? How would you play? Would you play with 3 in the middle or 2 in the middle and the 2 wingers?
I think I prefer the 2 wingers. I do with the
Yeah, I
obviously
agree.
striker at top. I do. I prefer the two wingers. Obviously we brought on the big boys, didn't we, towards the end against Chorley, to try and get another, which is mad to say. So Brick, mate, obviously they'll start. Chelsea are obviously in a rut themselves, but yeah, mate, 5 at the back. Go back to the old ways. Try and get a bit more consistency in our play. I know there was a worry we might get dragged into the relegation battle, which we could, like if there's an absolute disaster. But I think if we go back to that, get a few injuries back, and obviously the new lads, obviously Dave, you'll know a lot more than me. I kept calling him William. I kept calling him William, not William. So I kept getting that wrong. But yeah,
Jose. Yeah.
I've seen
Willian
he's
Jose.
50 odd goals. I kept calling him William. Yeah, you know what I'm like with foreign names. I just can't pronounce them. But hopefully he can be good, mate. 29 years old, so he's not a young kid. We're getting in. Yeah, I hope it's good.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Again, like I said a couple of times, I don't think he'll be ready for the game against Chelsea. I know a couple of people have asked about the T-shirt that Harry's wearing, by the way. It was Talking Walls merchandise, and it's currently not available anymore. Maybe in the future it'll be out, but Harry's got a limited edition T-shirt on right there. But yeah, Willian, you made me say William now. Willian So what do you think that means for Cutrone there, Harry? There's been rumours that a couple of teams in Italy want him again. Do you think Wolves would be daft to let him go, or do you think he's not good enough and Nuno should get rid?
I think he'll be gone, yeah. I think he's not even settled. I think he lives in a hotel, doesn't he? I've heard. Yeah. So he's just come back for a quick fix and he'll be gone again. There's no secret he wasn't settled last time, was he? Like, obviously his English isn't the best. Fair play to him. He's come back in. He's tried, hasn't he, when he's played, but it just hasn't worked. And let's be honest, Nuno got rid of him the first time because I don't think Nuno thought he was good enough. The fans loved him because of his songs, and he puts in effort, and he cried against West Ham, so that endeared him to the fans a lot. But I think he'll be gone now. This new lad's in, and I hope he's good. But it's a shame because I'd love it. It'd be really good if someone like Cutrone was a baller and was banging goals in, because the connection the fans would have with him would be so good. I think anyway.
I mean, we spoke a lot about the fans, Harry, especially last week, about the sort of impact it's having on Wolves. And even against that game against West Brom, I know a couple of people have mentioned it as well on the comments over the last week or so about how much this club. And I even saw a Liverpool fan actually tweet, after they'd lost to Burnley, he put, "I don't think any club is missing their fans more than us," as in Liverpool. So, which obviously I don't quite agree with, but I think a lot of teams are struggling without the fans at the moment, especially Nuno. We are his 12th man, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. We said it. I said it last time I was on. We just give him that push, it seems, and when we've come back from behind a lot, which is because of the fans, really, especially at Molineux. And obviously, it didn't matter too much against Chorley, because how many would we have took? A few hundred, probably. Not even that, because it's such a small ground.
Probably would have been more difficult with fans there, to be fair, if we played like that.
And another thing I want to say as well, Dave, because the big issue before the game was about the pitch, wasn't it, against Chorley? So I was being a bit like, well, if the pitch is boggy, fair enough, just dig deep and get the win. But when I saw the pitch on telly, I could be completely wrong about this, by the way, it looked all right, didn't it? And we had a lot of possession. We were passing it around well. So for me, that makes it even worse that we didn't score more goals, because we had no excuses. You know what I mean? For me, I thought the pitch didn't look too bad, but I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, we knocked the ball right. There was a couple of bobbles, but I don't think it's not like the ball stuck. It's not as if it was waterlogged. You know what I mean? The ball still moved. But I think the main issue, and this is why it's going to be interesting to see against Chelsea, is that goal threat. It was non-existent on last night. And if we're going to genuinely want to go and win games for the rest of the season, we need to be threatening teams more than that. Look, I know when Neto and Traore came on, like I've said, they pushed us forward and so on. But I think it was the lack of service for the strikers was worrying. And I think we do rely on those wingers a lot. Aït-Nouri and Keanu Hoover just didn't get high enough for me. I thought when I saw that lineup, I thought, sound, we're playing 5 at the back, but it'll almost be like a 3-2-4 almost, with these 2 wing backs playing as 2 high wingers next to the strikers. And it just wasn't the case. And I think from minute 1, really, Nuno probably said, right, let's get that goal and just chill out and slow it down. But for fans, I've said it, for fans, that's not what we want to see, do we? When you're getting Chorley in the cup last week or the week before, we're all rubbing our hands together thinking, right, we're going to see you score 4 or 5 goals here.
Yeah, the thing is, we've always been a counter-attacking team, haven't we? And the big talk in pre-season was 4.0, 4 at the back. We're going to start attacking, have a lot of the ball and take it 2 teams. But the reality is, under Nuno, we're most effective when we counter-attack, and against teams that sit back, even someone as low as Chorley, we couldn't break down, for God's sake. So against Chelsea, hopefully they've got their tails up after having a bad run themselves and come at us, and we can hit them on the counter like we used to do. Yeah. I mean, we did it against them at Molyneux, didn't we? Like we hit them on the break a few times, beat them 2-1. So that's our strength. And I think teams can slightly work us out sometimes, and they do sit deep and they know we'll get frustrated. And then our set piece defending is like horrendous, isn't it? So they target that. That's going to be their plan, Chelsea, probably. But I hope they come at us.
Well, you heard Ryan towards the end of his segment there talking about, obviously he's a big advocate for the back four and dropping Cody. And then we spoke a little bit about Moutinho. You know, what is the future for Moutinho in this team at the moment? You know, is he good enough to be playing week in, week out for Wolves in the Premier League?
Honestly, well, the way he's played lately, I'm going to have to say no. I think he's going to have to be on the bench and maybe come on. It's a shame, really, because I don't know what's happened. Because he's literally been our main man. Some of the games, some of the performances you think he's put in, like the Man United quarterfinal and things like that, when he just runs the game and he's everywhere, intercept him. He's just so sloppy at the moment. I don't get it. So for me, I mean, no, I don't think he's going to be a starter. But whether Nuno actually does that and starts putting him on the bench is a different question, isn't it? I don't know if he'll be willing to drop him.
And I mean, there's about a week left of the transfer window. Do Wolves need to make any more moves, do you think? Or do you think, that's going to be all for January? I mean, there's positions there, centre back, possibly even another midfielder, isn't there, that Wolves could look to sign? But can you see us making any more moves?
Well, we do, but I don't think we will. I'm quite shocked we've brought this lad in. I didn't think they were going to bring anyone in, but they have, so I'm happy with that. But I think we need at least another 2, mate, to be honest, just to freshen things up. Like you say, a midfielder, a defender. But it won't happen, I don't think. We could be surprised, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, and I mean, we're finishing off there. Corey says, straight facts, on to Chelsea. Let's get behind this team as a really difficult situation. Back in Nuno all the way. Hopefully, Willian Jose comes in and does well. Looks similar to a fit to Raul. I'm sort of glad. I know we won yesterday. I'm sort of glad that a little bit got rid of the rumours of Nuno in or Nuno out, Harry. We've not seen that too much. But then, unfortunately, today there was a rumour that Rafa Benitez wanted to come back into management, and I've seen people wanting Rafa Benitez. I'll tell you now, anyone watching, Rafa Benitez would play more defensive football than what Nuno did. So, I saw a couple of people mentioning him earlier as well. But Harry, it's been a pleasure having you on once again, mate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'm sure I'll catch you very, very soon, mate. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. See you in a bit, mate.
All right, mate. Have a good one. Well, boys, that is all for another episode of The Final Word here on Talking Wolves. It will be available to listen to on podcasts probably sometime this evening. So if you missed any part of today's, if you're happy enough to go on a jog or go on a drive on your way to work and listen back, you're very welcome to do so. It'll be on Talking Wolves, the Talking Wolves podcast on Spotify podcasts and all sorts as well. Again, appreciate you all popping in. Dale, once again as well, thanks a lot for the support. And guys, be sure to hit the like button down below. Yeah, Finn Games, huge apologies. I did not mean to time you out earlier, my man. Huge apologies for that. But yeah, guys, we will be back. We'll probably do one for the Chelsea game. I believe Chelsea's Wednesday evening, so we'll probably do this on Thursday evening. So keep your eyes out on your sub boxes for when this will go live. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the join button if you want to carry on supporting us. A lot of people will be, obviously someone asking where Bib was there. A lot of people we're going to be trying to rotate. You saw today we had Ryan Lester on. I'm hoping to get new people on every week. So we'll be rotating it every time. But guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll be here for the pre-match Chelsea content on Monday and Tuesday. Until next time, see you later, boys.